Our next speaker is Dr. Parveen Sen. She's a senior retina consultant at Shankar Nethralaya, Chennai. So over to you, Dr. Parveen.
Good evening, everyone. I thank Dr. Partha for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts amongst a very experienced panel that we have today. So my topic is going to add more controversy, I think, than we already have. So it is, where are we going to end the treatment of neovascular AMD? So as Dr. Manga Dogra already mentioned, that it is difficult to treat neovascular AMD, and as Dr. Dalit has also mentioned, that advent of anti-VEGFs brought in a sea change in the way we are treating our patients, and I think neovascular AMD is one disease which was most affected by the advent of anti-VEGFs. I remember in the beginning of my career, which is not as long as my other senior colleagues here, but even me, I remember saying to the patients with subfoveal CNVs that we have no treatment for you. And now we discuss it and we debate it for hours, and we have so many options for our patients. And with the advent of anti-VEGFs, it was the first time that we spoke of gain in vision. With Anchor, more than 11 letters, with Marina, with Harbor, all these studies gave us that there could actually be gain in visual acuity in patients of neovascular AMD following anti-VEGF injections, which have to be started early. They have to be given sufficient dose, and sustained treatment has to be done. And as we saw with the previous speaker, the OCT remains the main tool in our hands by which we take all these decisions. Just wanted to give a little background on how the long-term effect or the long-term effect of these anti-VEGFs has been on the neovascular AMD. So first study which brought us the long-term results was that of the 7UP trial, which is 7 years after the patients have been treated with the neovascular AMD. And these were patients who were for 2 years in clinical trials like Marina, Anchor, followed by 2-year extension of Horizon study. And then out of Horizon, they were 3 to 4 years out of the study. On a PRN basis, they were getting treatment, and then we had results seen of 65 patients at the end of 7 years. So at the end of 7 years, 68% of the patients still had active exudation. 46% were still receiving anti-VEGF injections. And in spite of that, there was a mean decline from baseline of 8.2 letters in 65 eyes over the 7-year period. And this was a decline from the peak of 24 months, where almost 19.6 letters was gained after the clinical trials of Anchor and Marina, which were giving monthly injections. So approximately 7 years after ranibizumab therapy, you had 1/3 of patients only which had good vision, 1/3 had very bad vision, loss of 15 letters, and macular atrophy was seen in almost 98% of the eyes. So this doesn't look like a very rosy picture. So even in the late stage of therapeutic course, neovascular AMD patients were at a risk of substantial visual decline, and the risk of disease activity still persists, and the need for anti-VEGF injection continues. So another important point which came forward was that a real world scenario can be very different from clinical trials, where 19 letters were gained at the end of 2 years in clinical trial. There was just a gain of about 3 or 5 letters in real world scenario, where the treatment was done on a PRN basis. PRN is that as in required basis. So another study which gave us the long-term outcomes was the Fight for Retinal Blindness Registry, which gave us a 10 years outcome. And the good thing about this study, which I wanted to present, was that it brought us the real world scenario in 2 cohorts. One was in Australia and New Zealand, where largely treat and extend is followed, and the other was in Switzerland, where PRN was followed. And they saw the most important thing, which I have highlighted here also, is that 79% of the cases patients had dropped out by 10 years. So such a long-term treatment, which is necessary for neovascular AMD, was not followed by almost 80% of cases. And here you can see that the loss of letter was less than 1 letter after 10 years in patients who were from Australia and New Zealand, because largely they were following the treat and extend, and Switzerland, where they were following the PRN, the loss of letters was almost 14. And the number of injections was also much more in this cohort, the Australia New Zealand, as compared to the cohort from the Switzerland. And this once again shows you how the visual acuity they have behaved at the end of 10 years from the two different cohorts. Macular atrophy and subretinal fibrosis were most common causes of poor vision. So this paper, they finalized or concluded that treat and extend is a better approach than PRN. So after this, we had lots of publications who mentioned that treat and extend protocols, whether if you give it with aflibercept and with improving treat and extend parameters, which better understanding of the disease, the long-term 4-year, 5-year results were actually now talking of improvement in vision vis-a-vis 7-up study, which spoke of loss in vision following long-term outcome. And then there was the treat and extend maintenance protocols, which said that if you keep these patients on a treat and extend protocol and inject almost every 12 weeks or once in 3 months, almost 86% of the eyes never had a reactivation, and you could maintain them with good visual outcome. But imagine the treatment burden. Patient needs to be monitored, patient needs to be injected, and patient needs to be brought into the OPD by the caregiver, and for the society, the cost of medical care goes up tremendously. So when is it safe to stop treatment in patients with neovascular AMD? Well, current thinking, unfortunately, is till death do us part. I have no financial interest in this, only that this photograph was catchy, which I took from the web. So after this, now there is an exit strategy which is being planned by various clinicians, and they have used it. The first which I would present is from the European group, who did try to do an exit criteria, and they said that once they have reached the 16-week interval on treat and extend, they tried to stop treatment and follow up the patient if the lesion has been stable, and they do the follow-up every 2 months or 3 months, and this is what they call the exit strategy. But the patients who were included in the exit strategy had to have a minimum of 10 injections and a duration of therapy for at least 2 years. So before 2 years, you do not exit. And they said the logic behind it was that 17% of the patients met the exit criteria if they were on treat and extend. But if they are on PRN, you may never reach the the exit criteria. You may never actually have a dry macula for 3 consecutive visits. Stable lesion, as Dr. Lalit Verma said, was no evidence of IRC, SRF, or subretinal sub-RPE fluid. Sub-RPE fluid, a localized pigment epithelial detachment, was acceptable because we know that is the seat of neovascular AMD, and that is not going to completely go. So almost 100 eyes, they could use this treat, extend and exit criteria, and they had recurrence in 13%, and they had rapid responders and non-rapid responders. So the patients the eyes who responded early or well to anti-VEGFs also had less recurrences, and they said that pigment epithelial detachment is one of the poor prognostic factors. These are the cases who will not respond quickly, and these are the cases who will definitely have recurrences. Another study who used treat, extend, stop protocol, they again did the same thing, that once the eye macula was stable or dry, they again stopped the treatment, and then once the treatment was stopped, instead of going into the 3 monthly follow-ups, they were again started with 1 monthly every 4 weeks, increasing the follow-up by 2 weeks slowly till the interval is 12 weeks. So they also said that they had good results, but this is after 50 injections almost, that 9.7 letter gain was seen at the end of 8 years. Not all studies have had good reports with suspending anti-VEGF injections. This is a study which said that 40% of the eyes will have reactivation within the first year if you suspend treatment, and almost 80% at the end of 5 years. Suspension of treatment is seen or required at the other spectrum also. If you see that eye is not responding at all, so do we continue treating that eye, or do we declare it futile? This is what a recent publication in Retina in 2020 on behalf of the Vision Academy Steering Committee. It was an international group of almost 90 experts. They tried to define futility, and they said the non-response should be based on functional and anatomical criteria. And before you define futility, you must make sure that maximal treatment has been given. You rule out masquerades. Make sure you're not treating PCV here try to switch anti-VEGF, and if still you feel that the patient or the eye is not responding, then you can give a treatment pause. So once a treatment pause is given, then you assess every month and see whether worsening happens if no treatment is given. If worsening does not happen, if no treatment is given, it means your treatment is not showing any beneficial effect and you can declare it futile and stop treatment. So to summarize, you can stop treatment for neovascular AMD in a situation of poor response to anti-VEGF or in a situation of adequate response to anti-VEGF. In both the cases, first and foremost is maximal treatment should be given. After that, if you see that there is no response, give a treatment pause and then you stop, but still monitor 1 to 3 months, and if any increase or in the disease is seen, go back to injections. If you have a stable lesion after good response, then again you can consider stopping the treatment. But here again, monthly or 3-monthly follow-up is a must. And the moment you see any recurrence of a disease or activity, again you have to go back to starting the therapy. So to conclude, unpredictability of disease and of the recurrences especially makes it unclear when to hold treatment with confidence, and numerous unsolved problems. Multiple injections, can they increase the risk of geographic atrophy? We still do not know for sure. And treatment methodology is more important than the type of injection at times. The regular treatment, regular monthly follow-ups is a must even when the treatment is suspended. So still, there is no real cure for neovascular AMD, and we really need newer anti-VEGF treatments with longer duration of action. We need extended delivery systems. And definitely, before all these things can be done, some prospective studies can be done to determine which eyes can at least this treatment can be suspended safely. Thank you. I end my talk here.
Thank you, Dr. Praveen.
Thank you, Praveen. Dr. Natarajan sir, are you there? Natarajan sir.
Dr. Natarajan sir.
I think he's driving.
No.
You're mute.
He was in his car, last I saw him.
I reached my friend's place. Hi. So, excellent, Praveen, and I think Parveen Sen, sorry, Praveen, I've written. I think your thing is written as Praveen. Okay. So, I think it's an excellent talk, and I think this is what I keep telling the patients, that because every time I think you need a dry macula, and extend and treat what you mentioned is right. But I think counseling the patient takes time because they all think that it's a number. I want 3, or somebody says 3, somebody says 4. So I keep telling them every month do a OCT and be prepared for the injection. If it is required, please go ahead. Otherwise, if you don't plan and have a break, and I think once the vision drops, I think the vision doesn't improve. So this is what I think as a real-time experience, which I thought I want to share as a treatment of AMD. And I think we have to counsel. I tell this to every patient, if everybody counsels the same way, how can, even if he changes the surgeon, I think the patient will benefit. But the problem here is somebody says, okay, you can wait. Why are you taking injection? And even right now, I got a call from US. His mother is in Mumbai, and he's saying that somebody is giving him Nevanac drops. And is it the protocol he's asking in India? I said the problem in India is any general ophthalmologist also treats AMD. And the protocols they don't read and they don't follow. So I think, I hope from this they follow all the whatever you have seen and leave it to the medical retina specialist for treating the AMD.
Lalit sir.
Praveen, very well delivered. See, the moral of the story is, unlike DME, AMD is not a forgiving disease. And the VEGF load in AMD, we can't predict in individual patients. That is the reason you see some patients will respond and ultimately may get exited also. And the data which he showed, 7UP, as well as the Australia, New Zealand versus Switzerland, all of them showed if you keep receiving some injections in a treatment extent protocol, ultimately these patients tend to do better. So believe me, more than 90% of my patients with AMD ultimately shift to treat and extend after the initial period. And these are the patients, irrespective of the OCT picture, we do inject in these patients. Because once we allow the VEGF to come up and then treat, then the results are never the same. Then PRN is not, equivalent to treat an extent. So monthly monitoring or frequent monitoring is a must if you want to retain some kind of benefits what you have gained in the induction phase. So induction phase, all of them we agree that there is a good response in majority of these patients. But what is important is the maintenance phase. And in that maintenance phase, it is very important to emphasize to the patient that we are going to shift from say 4 weeks to 6 weeks, then to 8 weeks, then to maybe 12 weeks. So frankly speaking, I haven't gone to 16 weeks in a lot of these patients, but majority of my patients are somewhere between 10 to 12 weeks. They keep receiving these injections, and that's the best way to follow these patients up. Other thing which I thought Praveen will cover is the relevance of PDS or the port delivery system, because that just shows that you require continuous anti-VEGF in a lot of these patients. Praveen?
Yes, sir, I agree with you. I think in the last slide, I probably did make a mention that port delivery system or a long-term delivery system is what is the need of the hour now. And as you have very rightly pointed out, sometimes these patients, if they are properly educated, they will come and say, "Doctor, I am ready for injection, time for injection." So they will happily come, take the injection and go. So I don't think it's that much of a problem. So you really need to educate the patients and connect with them. They will come. They will come that I'm beginning to have distortion again, or before that only they will come. No, you give me the injection, otherwise I will start having a problem. So they understand this now.
Yeah, that's right. But I think even fresh patients needs a lot of counseling. So I have now I made a nurse, executive nurse, and I tell them you spend a lot of time talking to them, sending them videos, whatever material to the relatives. Because otherwise they go to some other ophthalmologist, and if it's a general ophthalmologist, they say, oh, they are making every month injection is required or something. They either scare the patient or misguide the patient.
So again, as compared to DME, where DME, if you inject about 4 or 5 injections in the first year, the need for the injections becomes less in the second year or the third year. That doesn't happen in neovascular AMD. So
the only difference where I differ with Natti, generally I don't differ with him, but here I differ with Natti is the best counseling is done by doctor himself, not the nurse. Not the nurse, because I will take him to the OCT camera, show him the normal OCT, emphasize the need for virtually, especially I'm talking of ARMD. I agree with Praveen, and Mangat also mentioned in the beginning the comment that unlike DME, ARMD is not a forgiving disease. So if you talk to the patient, you see once the patient comes the first time a treatment naive, and you spend 10-15 minutes with him, showing him the various photographs that here is where you can land, then I think those patients will always be adherent to your regimen.
But Lalit, for me, fresh patients don't come to me. Only they come after so many doctors. Fifth doctor, I will be the 5th consultant.
So, shall we go on to our next speaker, sir?
Yes, Partha.